Alright, this is my first time making a video on anything related to my Vader setup, so bear with me. It's not going to be the most professional, but I try to get everything as clearly laid out as possible and to the point. Please comment any questions you might have, and hopefully I can explain it better if you're another Revenge of the Sith cosplayer like me. Alright, so here's my way of doing my armor set. So right now I'm doing Velcros here. I use these 6000 to secure them, and then I stitched along the satin lining of the cape other Velcros to receive them, so it holds them onto the shoulders no problem. And this chain I designed on Tinkercad and 3D printed that, pre-linked. It's working for now, but I'm going to come up with a better design for it later, so it's not as thick here, something a bit flatter. And then it just goes into these screws that I added, and these screws also hold the cape. On the inside I've got my two speakers. They have a audio jack at the top here, and they are also Bluetooth, of course. They wire up to the zoom pedal that sits on the back of my belt. The wire just comes up through here, goes through there, same with the other side, and then down the back of the robe. The foam here actually holds my other Bluetooth speaker for the breathing cycle in the middle, and this felt adhesive here covers the 3D print pen welds that I used to piece this armor together. This armor is 4 pieces in total. There's another seam along the middle. The hinges I got here, I just screwed them, as you can see, into the armor, into the bell with these shallower screws I've got. And to keep the bells from annoyingly overlapping the armor in the front and the back and just kind of going forward and backward, I designed these little tabs here. I know the Kenobi armor and maybe others have something similar that are larger flaps that go underneath, but I just made these two little ones so they can't go forward or backward. And they're not too obvious or visible when I'm suited up at all, really, unless you're looking for it. So that's how I've done this, and this, yikes, this keeps the neck of my mask, because it's Revenge of the Sith, from taking too much paint damage at all. And since I've added this felt here, it's been safe from getting any more damage. I had like a quarter-sized spot of paint chipped off last time when I used this armor before I added the felt. Alright, so here's the helmet, and I just made this cardboard stand to hold it up. In the meantime, I'm going to print something for it later. But the lenses, they're not quite perfect yet, but I'm going to take them out and try and heat mold them to be better again. The mask is 3D printed, but the dome is part of a recast from the master replicas that I adapted to fit with this mask. Okay, so how I've done my mask, just today actually I figured out this thing I could do with these magnets. So these are 60-pound rare earth magnets, and I've just screwed them in to the mask at various points here, just these 3 spots, and that's what holds the dome up and keeps it level and steady from rocking around. So the inside of my mask is not where I've spent most of my time working on it, but how I padded it to allow myself more freedom with neck movement is up here. So I have my battery bank. I glued Velcro to it, and then I put Velcro at the top of the mask, so that holds it up there. And then I realized if I put more foam padding at the top of my head, that would, towards the back, that would lift the back of the mask's neck up and give me more mobility turning left and right. Because my issue with Revenge of the Sith is after I put the back plate on that goes here, it keeps digging into the my back, right below my neck, and then into my shoulders if I try turning my head too much. Raising it with that extra padding at the top and lifting the back portion of the neck up a bit really helped with that. And there's a video at the end showing how that turned out. These two fans here are what I use for cooling. The cables that came with them are really long, so I just cut and soldered them back to have less wire going around. I could have done a better job, which I will definitely be revisiting. There's the intensity switch for the fans. That there really keeps my nose from getting bruised or dug into by the lenses or anything else. I learned that the hard way from my first time making a Vader mask. I know this all isn't 501st approvable or anything like that, but this is just me and my process and sharing how I got my neck mobility for any other Revenge of the Sith Vaders out there who really want to figure this out. Also to add, I got this hard hat liner, which you can obviously see, but that top piece doesn't always stay locked in the position I want it to, so that foam that I wedged underneath for now before I create some different device to hold the battery maybe a bit lower, because I don't want anything to be loose in here, is what really keeps this where I'd like it to be. Because sometimes if it gives out, you can't really take off the mask very easily since it tucks underneath the armor. So keeping things as durable as possible for this mask especially is really important. Okay, so speaking of the back plates, how I do this was a lot of troubleshooting, as you can see the evidence of it. But I made these hook type things. There's a magnet still in there, the other one fell out. But what I wanted it to do essentially was to connect with these points here, and then sit. I've only got one hand. Sit like so, which it does, but the way it holds down is the hard hat liner, the back knob here. When I'm wearing it, the dome presses down on this knob just enough to press down on this piece, so when it has the downward pressure, it stays hooked in to those anchor points here and there. And then the cape wraps around behind this nicely and keeps it from lifting out back that way. So it ends up being really secure, but not by an intentional design. So I'm still workshopping that. It's very unique to what I've got going on, so I'm not sure if that would work for anybody else, but that's just what I've got here going for me. Okay, so the inside of the dome, the 3 magnet points, I did not make the lip over the magnets narrow enough, so that one came pulling out after I took the mask off, detached it. So I'm just going to modify these and increase the overlap at the edges so that doesn't happen again. But I designed these gray mounts myself on Tinkercad too, because these sides of the magnets need to be touching the ones on top of the mask, and they don't have the countersinks on this side, that's on the other side. So the only way to get them on here securely without using a screw that's too deep is using these mounts here. So that ended up working out nicely. And this black piece of adhesive rubber I put down is what I used to have to keep the helmet with some friction from spinning around. I didn't have any magnetic mounts or locking systems at all before. And then the 2 things I put above the brow on my mask would hug this on the left and right to keep it from turning or swaying, which wasn't always effective. But I'm keeping it there anyways, just as a fail-safe, and also to assist the magnets in not being pulled left and right. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful. And again, please let me know if you have any more questions. I'll likely be remaking and updating this video at some point to be more professional. And please enjoy my stupid head nodding demonstration to show what the result of my work is.